Hello, everyone, and welcome to our LinkedIn Live. It's almost the end of year 2025, and we just it was yesterday night for me, and it was even less than 24 hours that we decided to throw this party and to talk about authentic insights for 2026. Hi, Dan, how are you?
I am very, very good, and I was so happy to receive your message, and of course, the answer was going to be yes, yes, of course, we will go live and we will chat about, um, y- yeah, and I'll just going to say this to the audience because I want to be very authentic. That's the whole point of this is. Um, we have nothing officially prepared other than our brains and our thoughts and our ideas and our moments and our experiences, and we will encourage all of you to join in and share what's on your mind too. So I'm very grateful to be here, and I'm very
Thank you again for accepting to do this with me today. And as Dan mentioned, we would like all of you who are watching us now live on LinkedIn to join the conversation, to add your comments, and share what has been your challenges, what you're expecting from 2026, because we really want to keep this casual, authentic, however you feel like sharing. And the reason why we did this is because we are done with filters. We're done with the wannabes, or how we are using those filters to show up. And we just wanted to be here as we are, unfiltered, fully authentic, and just like even reflecting on the past year, on our personal experiences, personal challenges, and what we are expecting from 2026 on a personal level. So to start with the challenges, how has the year 2025 been treating you? How
wow.
was the
the,
year?
the big how much time do we have? Just counting
Let's
down.
let's keep it
That,
like the
that, that,
challenges.
that was my sense of humor. Um, you know what? It's been an amazing year. I Let me first I want to recognize, in the U.S. So I'm in Minneapolis from New York, and obviously Mina is in Turkey, and we've all been sharing and have been experiencing, um, more macro, political, social. There's a lot of change happening right now. But with all that said, I have always put myself in the category of an optimist. But I always like to explain that, and then I'm going to answer your question very directly. And the reason why I explain that is being an optimist is actually very, very challenging, and it's very hard. And the reason it's hard is because you have to find beauty in the rubble, right? Being a blind optimist is not what I am, and I don't think it's actually very healthy. And that's just like everything's going to be okay, right? It's like, well, if you work hard and you fight for change and you fight for what's right, and you take care of people around you, your loved ones, your family, your friends, and you just play a small sliver in changing things. If everybody plays that small sliver, guess what happens? It becomes one big, well, not even a sliver. It becomes a big thing. It becomes a big entity. And so for me, my intentionally, my year was more focused around what impact can can I make, versus grand statements like I want to change the world, or I want to do, I because I can't alone do that. Nobody can. but I can do it with great friends like you. I can do it with great friends that are hopefully listening or will listen. I can do it with family, partners, and so for me, I think the year has been, um, from a personal standpoint, ups and downs, but that's life. That's lifing, as we call it. And I take every second of it because without feeling a down, you can never feel an up. It's kind of a cliche statement, but it's true. If everything were flat and everything were always great, well, you wouldn't know how to fight. You wouldn't know how to show up. And with work, it's been the same thing. Really trying to understand the as we're growing our business and growing very quickly, also paying attention to the landscape around us, and I don't want to talk too much about in this conversation around AI and its impact, and I'm sure it'll come up a couple of times, but I'm a big believer in making sure we all remain very, very, very human throughout all of this, and because I think true happiness, comes from being human, um, and and, um, and happiness can show up in all different forms: happiness of joy, happiness of sadness, happiness of excitement, happiness of all the above. And so I embrace the emotions. I embrace the roller coaster. And so in summary, the year has been, um, a great year. I've had just the beauty of an opportunity to continue to meet and connect with so many great people. Yourself as being on the very top of my list. I think we were the number one, on LinkedIn, staying connected with each other, um,
Yeah, you were on top of
which was so
the
happy to.
my interaction.
Yeah. So it's been a very, um, yeah. So I didn't want to give a sugar coated answer to say it's been great, everything's great, life's great. Of course, there's been ups and downs, and of course, there's been hard times, but that's what makes life interesting, and that's what makes it beautiful. So
And life being unexpected, I think that's the beauty of life. And like, as you said, we can be part of the change. I mean, we cannot do the change, but like, inch by inch, we contribute to the change. So I mean, there are things that we cannot control, like, all those politics, the economic crisis, and everything that's happening in the world. But what we can control is how we interact with people, how our attitude is towards life, towards ourselves, towards our life, and what we are taking as an action, because those actions add up to a bigger content. And by the way, Gözde and Nurdan, they just commented. Gözde is saying, hello dearest Mine and Dan is a bit, let me make it bigger. Authentic self will become more important. It must. One way to achieve this is to deepen our self-awareness and learn to approach ourselves with compassion, with love. And Nurdan just commented, hi Mina, nice to be here, and it's wonderful meeting you, Dan. So like self-compassion, let's talk about that. I mean, like, when we are talking about challenges, we are really being harsh on ourselves. We usually just don't think about those small wins, or like, pat ourselves on the shoulder and say, you did this, you got this. But we usually are more inclined to, remembering the negatives, the things that we failed to do, or just like, the things that we could not finish, the things that we could not achieve. But like, not mentioning or just like seeing enough the value of the things that we have achieved.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, giving. I mean, so anybody listening, always have self compassion, for yourself, and give yourself grace. And I think a good exercise that I go through. There's this. So I'll paint sort of a very simple, some simple imagery. Imagine there's a lot of little sort of small little bubbles that are floating around you, and each one of those things are things about you. Um, and it doesn't have there's no perfect formula to this, but it's things that you love about yourself, things that you want to change about yourself, and then the things that you just maybe not everybody loves, but you're going to own it, and you accept those things about yourself. And those are in fact your biggest strength, which is there's irony in that. But and it's understanding how to recognize all of those things. So the things you love, keep fighting for, keep doing, keep showing up in that way. The things that you really want to change, so that behavioral change is like, I really, whatever it might be, personal, work, think about a little pen and find ways to pop those bubbles. And that's that's behavioral change patterns. And that's just, again, based on how big it is or how small it is. I'm not going to provide therapy in this conversation, but you know what I mean. There's things you're like, I got to stop doing that, or I don't want to do that, or I can't do that. And then there's those things that you're like, yeah, this is how but this is who I am. This is a part of who I am. It's not it's neither good or neither bad. It's just me, and I'm going to own that. And in fact, that's going to help me be my strength. And as soon as you own it, it starts to fall into that category of things that are wonderful and beautiful about you as being human. So if you think about those kind of bubbles that are floating around you, do your best to organize them into those categories. Love and own the ones that you love. The ones that you want to change, think about what you need to do, what little changes. And again, you can't change things overnight. You cannot. No way. There's no way. You don't change behavioral patterns, don't change overnight. So you need to just start making small little changes and have accountability, friends, partners, be willing to talk about it. And again, have those things, and the things that you just, that you're going to own. This is me, and it's okay. It's okay. Embrace those, and then they actually become a strength. So that would be the way I kind of think about when I think about self-compassion. It's under and that's self-reflection too, to some degree. And that's a really simple exercise that doesn't require.
I love the analogy. This is really great. And I love, like, how you're saying, be kind to yourself. I mean, things don't happen overnight. It's not like a magic wand that touches on your head and, like, it changes your behavior. It takes time, it takes intentionality. And just like, just as long as you are on that path towards achieving something, towards getting that behavior, it's just like, you're on the path. I mean, you don't need to go to the destination right away.
No. And the small little things, I mean, it's like the working out analogy or metaphor, and I think we've talked about this before. I'm going to start getting in shape. I'm going to start training, and so I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to spend 10 hours at the gym today, and then now I'm in shape. I'm like, no, you're just going to be sore. You're going to be sore the next day, right? What will happen is if you go just a little bit, as often as you can, maybe every day, maybe every other day, maybe 3 times a week, eventually you will start to see changes, and not just physically, but mentally. You'll feel better. So, and then it becomes a behavioral change for yourself, because now you see, yeah, if I do this and I do this in a repeatable way, it actually starts to change things for me. So, any patterns of change to drive happiness um, requires commitment and requires showing up and doing it over and over again and recognizing immediate results or sort of immediate it's fixed isn't a real thing, but you will eventually get there. Everybody can get there. We all have agency over ourselves, and we all can find ways to dial in that version of ourselves we want to show up as.
And as we are talking about happiness and being kind to ourselves, now Nurdan just commented when I asked the question why optimism prevents paralysis under change to myself, I believe optimism shapes how change is interpreted at the cognitive and behavioral level. I mean, it's 100%.
Yeah.
And she's also an AQAI coach. So, I mean, this is one of the components of the adaptability quotient. I mean, it just makes it easier to deal with the change, no matter what the change is. I mean, it could be now 10 years ago, it was the agile. Now we're talking about AI, and everyone's just so hyped up about the AI. I mean, just there's no one day that we don't hear something about AI. Like it's like use AI in a sentence, kind of like fill in the blanks with AI. Like whatever is just like a blank, we fill it in with AI. It's just like it's if it's the magic solution.
I am certain you and I will have a conversation dedicated to AI in the coming months, because there's a lot we could dive into there. But I love that statement that just came in. We know why optimism prevents paralysis under change, and I think you're right. I love that optimism actually shapes it. It's almost like it's almost optimism is a version of Play-Doh that you can sort of shape.
Even the feeling, like the optimism, just preventing the paralysis, because paralysis being stiff. Yeah. And when we think about optimism, just preventing that, just really the Play-Doh, making it so soft, and just making it less stiff and being flexible, being fluid. I mean, that's the feeling.
Yes. So how about you? How's your been? Your been, and what are your highs and lows and
Well, it's been like the external factors. I must admit that the external factors were hard to deal with because of all the instability and, trying to keep my mood up among those. But when I just, because in the happiness sessions, we also keep reminding ourselves that, the 40% of our happiness is on us. So those external factors account of only the 10% of the total happiness. And it's we have the ownership of our happiness. So once I shift my mindset to that perspective, and just everything kind of really shifts. So that has been my practice over the last 1 year. I mean, I had my lows, but whenever I was in the lows, and I also let myself be in that lowest moment or lowest level, and just accepting that and just honoring that. Sometimes I slept in the mornings because I just felt and that's okay. And that was for me this year, it was a year of acceptance, year of accepting not to do work when I did not feel like, to let myself sleep in, to let myself be lazy. I mean, lazy in a sense that, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to enjoy being lazy too.
It is okay. And I know you well enough to know that your version of lazy is most people's version of being very busy.
True.
So
But still, that in my own terms, like, that was relieving because like there's this the life, the consumption and everything that's being just like, put on us, like that stress is just like, keep saying that you have to work, you have to do this, all these routines, just like, you have to get up at this time in the morning, you have to do like work for this many hours, and it's just like, it's kind of like keeping the wheel turning. I mean, it's just like, so that people don't realize that there's another way to do things.
yeah, yeah, I think that's yeah, and I think it's we sometimes use the word being selfish as a bad thing, and of course there are it can be, and there's bad components of being selfish, and but then there's very necessary components of being selfish for yourself, right? To take care of yourself. The power of saying no, I can't do this right now. The power of saying I'm going to sleep in the this morning. Because that's, again, that's taking ownership over what you need, and then that allows you to show up better in the world and spread more joy and happiness, which you do so much of. And so I think we have to sort of understand that it's okay. It's okay to be a little selfish in the spirit of being compassionate for yourself, taking care of yourself, well-being. Um, that's just so key, and some of us, and not everyone on we all work in different ways. Some of us work too much. Some of us, it's never quite enough, and we beat ourselves up if we don't quite get it right. But I think it's just giving yourself the grace and being selfish enough to recognize, like, look, here's what I can give. Here's what I have today, and always remembering that tomorrow is another day. And the final thing I'll say with that is and I coach a lot of people on this. When anyone says, well, I should have or I could have, like, that, you can't change the past. What you have to do is learn. If there's something in the past that is going to be helpful to drive the future and to drive behavioral change in the future, then grab it and embrace it. But don't obsess or get frustrated or upset. Why, if I had just done it this way, then things would have been different. Because guess what? As far as last I heard, we can't travel back into time. And
And that's
unless,
going to ruin the now, like, how you're
yeah,
feeling now. And
yeah,
just like, you're missing out then the feeling, the positive feelings that you might have in this moment, because like it's so cluttered with what you are taking from the past and
yeah,
even the projections about the future. Just like, our now is so
yeah.
much cluttered with that, either the past or the future. Like being anxious, like the anxiety about the future, or just like, the regrets from the past. And and by the way, I mean, just like, this year was like, as I said, it was a year of acceptance, accepting myself, accepting to be selfish. Because, like, usually when I was taking time off during the day, I would not be admitting it. I would just like, I have a meeting, so I cannot do that. But now I just like, started telling people, no, I am taking time off during the day to take a walk, to just, take a breath and to have those micro breaks. And that was okay. Even during summer, I was just like telling people, now I'm with my kids and I'm just like, swimming in the sea. So I cannot just like take this call. That was a big leap of change for me because like I was not feeling okay. I was thinking that it will not sound right to just like, or it will look too selfish that I am just like, pampering myself with all those leisure moments, but not just like, paying attention to the business world.
Yeah, yeah, but I suspect, when you did that, you were able to come back feeling refreshed and actually be, have a different lens on things and feeling more productive. And I mean, that's the problem, is we get stuck, and we can get stuck in these small little circles or in these bubbles, as I was describing before, and not embrace those other ones that are so important. And I think, I'm going to paraphrase someone who I heard speak recently, and he's um, a great speaker, and the summary is, and it was this is an optimistic summary. It might not sound like this when I start speaking it, but is that, and I'm going to keep it PG, so I'm not going to use the word that he used, but I'll use the first letter of the word, and that is life is effing hard. Any way you slice it, but that's life. And then he also went on to say, and the moments in life that you'll remember, and the moments that you have to solve for, the one thing that they have in common is they are with people, with humans. At the end of it all, you're not going to look back and say, wow, ChatGPT really sped up that report for me. You're not going to look back and say, wow, I really had a great keynote presentation at this. Or you're going to look back and you're going to remember the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And I guarantee every single person, it will be about a relationship, about a person, about human conversation. Those are the things that's the beauty of humanity.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's it. So meaning, like yes, embrace all these other incredible tools and technology, which we should agree to the audience that we'll do
By the way, that reminds me of a LinkedIn post that a friend of mine recently shared, and she was talking about like, not being on her phone, because I mean she took her phone to, I think, to change it, so they were just like, replacing it, and during the data transfer she was without her phone, and she was observing the people around her, and just like, everyone was on their phone, and she was like commenting about that, and she said, I mean, when we look back, no one's going to say, I wish I was spending more time on my phone. I mean, no one's going to regret for those moments that they're not spending on the phone, but probably be regretting those moments when, well, they were not spending time with the loved ones when they were with them, but instead spending time on the phone, or like ChatGPT, having that conversation instead of having the authentic and the real conversation, human to human conversation.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And again, it doesn't mean I'm far from and I love what technology, how it's evolving, and what it's doing. I fear that it's moving at a rate that we're not, if you think about kind of the classic curves of technology, and the AI has this sort of straight line that's just growing and growing and growing, and it's wonderful for research and medicine, and there's some, the list goes on, and obviously wonderful for just getting work done, and organizing thoughts. But we have to remember two things. It's not conscious, at least as of yet. It's not curious. And I think at the end of the day, I worry that it's stunting our ability to truly connect, to truly think for ourselves, to come up with ideas that haven't even been thought about yet, because it isn't getting answers, it's asking questions that have never been asked. That's how things change, right? Because there are no answers. It's the question that matters. The answers are out there. If there are answers, it's just an aggregation of them put in a nicer, shinier context. But it's the question that you actually ask of friends, of technology, like, actually, I don't, because then you get to see a different lens, and you get to see a different perspective on things, or start to learn. Even questions, I'm going to go broad here, around the universe, right?
That reminds me of a book. Have you read the book Change Your Questions, Change Your Life? It's like a coaching.
I have not read the book, but I've heard of the book. I will now.
I mean, it's like a coaching book, and that, I mean, you're so right. I mean, it's about, like, the questions that you're asking, like data information doesn't have any value right now. It's out there in the space. It's just like, there's like abundance of data. There's abundance of information. It's like in our hand, literally in our hand, at the tip of our, the finger, and just, everything is now available. But it's like what you do with that data is what you do with that information, how you just like extract that. That's what's going to matter. By the way, we have another comment.
Oh, yes.
Hello, this is Parisa from Vancouver, Canada. Nice to see you, Mina, and nice meeting you, Dan. I think courage and consistency. I keep taking notes of these C's, the words that start with C's. You said the AI is not curious, it's not conscious. And now Parisa is just like mentioning two other words that starts with C. Courage and consistency are very important in making changes, both professionally and personally, definitely. Even with behavior. Consistency is the key for behavioral change.
I love that comment, and I love that you chose the word courage, because to me, when I think about courage and I think about the word fear, right? I think about those two words together. Courage is like the water that you put out over a fire, and the fire is fear, right? Meaning you're courageous enough to battle fear that you might have, and with courage comes risk, comes uncertainty. So I love the word. I think courage is such a key word. And consistency, yes. I mean, again, back to that earlier metaphor or analogy or analog of anything you do in life. I used the gym example before, right? You can't go once and everything's going to change. But let me use a more personal example that we all have, whether it's friendships or relationships, romantic or platonic, or just family members, whatever it might be. Consistency in the small things and showing up is, in fact, what drives change, right? It isn't the sweeping, guess what? I've got us a trip to, I don't know, name some beautiful Caribbean, Four
I'm gonna
seasons.
say Honduras.
Yeah, yeah,
Honduras.
we're wherever it might be, and now everything's good. Yes, is that fun? Of course. Is it amazing? And if you can do it, and always take time and do stuff like that. But what really matters in the long term is consistency, and being courageous enough to be consistent with the small little things, and especially the things that are unexpected, and the things um, that are sometimes hard to do, because it is a behavioral change. And but what's beautiful about it is once you start to do it, fear lessens, um, consistency increases, happiness increases, and all of a sudden being courageous enough to have even started works. So I love, that's such an amazing statement, and so yeah, thank you for that comment.
So, as we are going to wrap up our conversation, I would like to point out a couple of. Today, I received an email from someone on LinkedIn. It was connected to LinkedIn, and the email had the statistics about well-being and how the well-being of the global market is increasing and focusing more on the well-being of the employees. So
Yeah.
they're saying that it's expected the demand for work culture transformation solutions is expected to grow by 15% annually, and employee well-being workshops are projected to increase by 20% in the next year. Positive psychology for business is becoming a key focus, with a predicted 25% rise in companies incorporating these practices into their strategies by 2025. So, what has changed? Why all of a sudden we're seeing this surge?
I mean, well, I mean, I think it's because a big reason is uncertainty, and I think, I know we don't have too much time left, and I could maybe we're leaving a little bit over, but that's okay. Hopefully, people stay on and listen. It's too good of a conversation to stop on time. I think. I would say humans, I'm gonna go broad here, are having a harder time finding well-being, kind of that self-compassion that we talked about, because you kind of need to put yourself, or at least seemingly, you feel like you need to put yourself on one side of the line, or in a box. It's like tribalism at its worst. I would say, to some degree. You can't hold alternative ideas. We're not allowing for that. You either believe a certain set of ideals, and even if half of them you might think differently, and whatever it might be. I think we put ourselves in a dangerous spot where we quickly define each other, not for what we do and how we show up, but belief systems that are kind of assigned to us. And I think that really affects well-being, and that affects company, team, connection. And so I do think that this desire for well-being, and well-being needs to be, I think in 2026, it needs to be a little more, it needs to be well defined. And what do we mean by that in the workplace? What do we mean by that individually? What do we mean by that in relationships? What do we mean by that just in how you show up and how you present oneself? So yeah, so I think that's a reason why we're seeing the that increase. And the stat was 25%. You said,
Yeah,
yeah.
25% increase. I think we should definitely have a dedicated session conversation about well-being too. Because
Yeah.
the reason why I see is everyone's so burned out because of the pace of technology, because of the
Yeah.
pace of work and life. I mean, everything is like, and it's kind of like, everyone wants everything like spontaneously happening. Like, everything has to happen now, right now.
Yeah.
And that pace, even the business is growing at a rate that's just like, mind blowing. So if you want to stay ahead of the competition, you have to just like, be really keeping up the pace. You have to just like, take those actions and timely actions. And that's too much stress because our body, our mind is not designed to be like that, to function at that pace. And I think that's why now they just realized that if people keep working like this, if people keep living like this,
Yeah.
that it's not going to be like we won't be talking about longevity because like it's not going to be there. The mental health is not going to be there.
I love that. I mean, that's so well said. And I read some interesting data too that burnout. So there's, as we know, maybe a whole nother conversation there's mental health and there's burnout, and there's overlap, but there are differences on what they are and why they happen. But specifically, with burnout, I think most people would, I mean, if you're burning out, it isn't necessarily because you're working too hard or you're being asked too much. It's because you feel like what you contribute doesn't matter. And I think that's really important for organizations to remember. Most employees will give so much of themselves if they feel that connection and they feel like what I'm doing is making an impact and what I'm doing are helping others around me. And I understand what I'm doing is going to actually change things for our customers or for larger society or for, whatever business you might be in. It doesn't matter what business you're in. It lessens the feeling of burnout. If you're working so hard, but you see no feedback or recognition, or you don't know quite where does all my work fit in to this change movement, it's like 100x amplified. So I think it's really important to help battle, like what one simple little thing is to remind everyone what the purpose is, what their mission is, what their mission is, what their purpose is, what their why is, what the company's why is, and try to connect the dots more. And I think that does help a little bit with burnout.
We should definitely have another session about
Yes, I know. So and so do you have any final? I mean, you've been so busy this year. But
I realized that was another point of acceptance for myself because I realized that that's how I'm functioning. That's my rhythm. So if I'm not just like, up to that pace, and it's not only about the time that I'm spending for my business, but it's also about like how dedicated I am towards keeping my relationship with people, because like I spend as much time for my social gatherings, like for my social life. So
yeah,
I am just like, spending as much time, like a dedicated time to my relationships. So, and that was an acceptance too, because I like it that way. That's like, I'm a generator, by the way, with human design, and accepting that I am just like, generating more power. I'm generating more energy, human energy, as I'm just like doing more. And it's like doing more is not necessarily meaning that, stressing myself out, but as you said, doing the things that are in line with my purpose, that I am just like, the things that keep me awake at night, in a positive way, not in a negative
Right.
way, but just like, keeping my heart pump all the time, just like, making my heart beat, but just like, making my eyes shine. So I'm just like, sticking to that right now is my rule of thumb. I'm just like doing the things that are just exciting me, that are just like in line with my purpose. That's the thing. That was my acceptance.
And that is so important, and just because there's these lines of thinking around, just follow your passion or your dreams, and yes, of course, pay attention to them, but repeat and get excellent and better at what you're really good at, and you might still have burnout, but if you focus on what you're really good at, it does bring more excitement, because if you chase something that you want to be, or it's a dream, and I'm not saying don't chase dreams. I think it's incredible to always have that, but recognize, where can I make an impact? And it might be a lot of work, but like you said, it's you'll accept the burnout a little bit more from time to time when you have to, and then of course take care of yourself and get rest and all those things. But if you're chasing a dream that is just unachievable, you're going to burn out way too fast. So find what you love, find what you're great at, triple down on it, be better at it, train, learn, research, read. I mean, all those things. And I think that that would be my statement for anyone heading into 2026. I think that's an important part of happiness and joy.
Exactly. So we will do a session about AI. We will do a session about purpose, finding your purpose. What
Yeah.
was the other one? Well-being.
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 I suspect we could probably come up with
Yeah.
a lot more topics.
Okay, so this was really great. Thank you again for accepting to do this on on literally, like, not maybe the last, but the one before the last day of the year. And we will be doing more of these in
Yes.
2026. That has been our plan over the last 1 year. And for this one, we are just like, putting the word out that we will be doing this at least once a month. We will have a theme. Please feel free if you are watching it this later, not live, but later, please drop a comment, and so that we can see it, if you have ideas, if you want to share. And we really want to keep this interactive too. So if you want to contribute with your ideas, with your own challenges, like reflections from your own life, we would love to hear them too. And Nurdan, thank you, by the way, Nurdan, for being an active participant and just contributing to our conversation. Great conversation, and thank you very much, Mina and Dan.
Great. And Mina, thank you for everything that you do. I mean, you are you put joy into the world, and you lift others up, and you're inspiring to me, and you're inspiring to, I am certain, everybody who knows you. And so thank you, and
thank you.
I'm grateful.
Thank you. Really, like, you were the gift for last year, but I mean, our friendship growing even bigger this year was like a true gift.
Well, thank you. And 2026, here we come. All right. Well, and thank you, everybody. And I know this was last minute, so hopefully, I'm sure a lot of you will listen, as it'll be streaming on LinkedIn, like we said. And so do drop in comments, send us messages. We're here to support all of you in any way that we can.
Parisa and Gözde, they're also commenting. Thank you.
Oh,
ladies, for contributing to our conversation. With Gözde and 3 other friends, we're also doing a program, Retouch Wellbeing for Leaders, which we are really passionate about because we know that leaders are also really burned out. They're just like, stuck in between the team members and the upper management. So that's one thing that we are so proud of doing. And thank you, Mete, as well. Now we have
well,
everyone joining in the comments. Please stay tuned
yeah,
and just share your comments, your expectations, anything that can contribute to these series of conversations for the next year.
yes, and yep, and 2026 will be, um, I guess someone asked me as a joke, well, what will 2026 be like? I'm like, well, it'll be a year after 2025. And what I mean by that, what I meant by that is the change of the year doesn't change how we need to show up, doesn't change the work that we need to do, doesn't change all of a sudden being human, you don't shift and become something different. But just keep fighting for yourself, keep loving hard for everybody around you. Keep caring more, showing up more for your work colleagues. As I always say, if you have those extra 5 or 10 minutes for a conversation or to help someone, do it. Just the little things add up. And I encourage
Give more hugs.
more
Laugh more.
yes,
Enjoy life more.
and yes, and take time for yourself. And just life is a gift. It is unfortunately shorter than we all want it to be, but it's also long enough to make an incredible impact. And so I encourage everyone to do that, and take care of yourself. I mean, to your whole point around being a leader. I mean, you can't lead without feeling as healthy. And when I use the word healthy, I mean just healthy in spirit and mind, and everything that comes along with being healthy. You need to be healthy so you can show up better for everyone around you.
The oxygen mask.
Yes,
Put on your face first.
All right. Well,
okay, thank you so much.
Great
We'll see
conversation.
each other in 2026.
Yes.
Enjoy the New Year's, the celebrations, and thank you everyone who
Yes.
joined us, who
Thank you.
will be watching us later. It's really great to share this space with you. So until next time, take care, enjoy life.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Happy New Year, almost.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
All right, bye-bye.